to go home and look at what you learned, that is actually a very Zoroastrian concept. Now, I was asked to also connect how I see the Vedas with the background that I come from. I come from which religion? Do you remember? Zoroastrian religion, right? Who is their prophet? Zarathustra, thank you. And which is the symbol? Fire. Wonderful. Okay, so we remember all of that. So, with that background, as a child, I always had to do my homework. I had to, it was ingrained in me to do whatever was taught in the class and to go over that at home. Why? And there's a reason for that. See, Zarathustra, when he taught many years ago, thousands of years ago, when he had all these followers around him, and when he was teaching, he was telling them, look, I don't want you to just blindly believe what I'm saying. I want you to go and ponder and meditate what I'm saying. And if your conscience tells you that what I'm saying is true, then only you follow me. So every time I go to a class, I must think, is this what I really want to believe in? And I have to analyze that for myself. I have to think about it for myself, and then I can be part of the class. That's how I see it. Yeah? So when you get your homework from your SSC teachers, yes, you always do that, right? Yeah? No one skips their homework, correct? Yes, okay. All right. So Zoroastrianism is a very old and ancient religion. And now first let's connect with the homework we had last week. So I have to look at my notes because I don't want to make a mistake and lead you the wrong path. So I have to read my notes. And by the way, I always write my notes and then I go home and I type them. Why? Because I cannot read my own handwriting sometimes. So I have to type them up. And then it really sinks into me when I'm typing, because then I can also look into my scriptures, because something will trigger something from my scriptures and say, oh yeah, that's something I've learned. So okay, so what was the homework we had? Who remembers? First of all, which mantra did we learn that was so important? That's the central mantra. Yes?
The eighth one?
Yes, that is the Anubhak. Yeah, but which was the most important mantra in that Anubhak? Who remembers? Yes? Yes, absolutely. Om Namah Shivaya. How many letters in that? Om, Na, Ma, Shi, Va, and Ya. We remember that, right? So we went over that and how to differently use the letters, and that was so complex for me. I really have to sit down and think about it for a long time before I really understand that. So we'll go back to the homework we had. So we were told there were things that came in sets of 5, right? And what was the homework we had to do? To look up which 5s we had to look up at home? Who remembers? Yes? Yes.
The 5 meters.
Yes, the 5 meters, right? So what is a meter? Let's say the teacher told you to write. Were you going to tell me what the meter is? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's say that the teacher tells you to write an essay, yeah? Essay, 500 words, right? So you're writing an essay for 500 words, do you have to count every word in every sentence?
Yeah.
Do you have to make the sentences exact? Some sentences can be long, some sentences can be short, right? It doesn't really matter if you're writing an essay or a prose. But if you're writing a poem or a song, then it matters, doesn't it? So each line in a song or a poem has to have the exact number of what? Beats or syllables. Yes. What's the difference between a word and a syllable? Who can tell me? Yes.
A word is like what you say W-H-A-T, or the syllable is what, which is just one syllable.
Okay, so word can have more than one syllable, right? Were you going to say something? Okay. All right, so a word can have more than one syllable, so we have to count the syllables. We cannot count the words, correct? Okay, we got it? Straight? So there were 5 different measures or 5 different patterns look up, right? So do we remember the names? The Na stood for which meter? Who remembers? The Gayatri, right? So how many syllables in the Gayatri and how many lines? Who knows the answer to that? Did anyone look it up? 3 lines, 8 syllables each. That's the Gayatri mantra. Not the Gayatri mantra, the Gayatri meter. I'm sorry, there's a difference. The mantra is different from the meter. The meter just tells us how many syllables we should use in each line, right? So it's 8 syllables. How many lines did I say?
3.
Thank you. Okay. So this Gayatri meter is a very ancient meter. The Gathas, the songs of Zarathustra, which were written at least 3,000 years before Christ, the first one, there are 5, first one is written entirely in the Gayatri meter. Okay, so using the same number of syllables in 3 lines. Got it? Okay. There's over 100 mantras in that, all the Gayatri. And then the second syllable of Om Namah Shivaya, Ma, is which meter? Do you look that up? Anushtup. It was the Anushtup meter. And how many lines in that meter? 4. And each line has the same number of syllables as the Gayatri. So that's 8 syllables. Okay? So 8 times 4 is how much?
32.
32. And the previous one, Gayatri, was how many syllables? 24. That's right. So 24, now we're doing 32 because the number of lines have changed. Got it? And we continue the same pattern then. Yeah? Okay. Then the Shi stands for trishtup, which is a different meter that has 4 lines, but now this time the syllables are very many. There is 11 syllables. The lines get much longer. Okay? Now, so this meter is the one that's used for the Gathas, for the remaining 4 Gathas. Then there was the brahati, which is a little bit more complex because it has the first 2 lines with 8 syllables, then 1 line with 12 syllables, and then 1 line with 8 syllables. And then finally it was virat, that was how many lines? 4, and the syllables were only 10. 10, okay? So why am I telling you all this and why is that important? Why does it matter if we sing in a meter or not? What difference does it make? What difference does it make if we have a meter or not? Yes?
Words have more meaning to them.
Sorry?
There's more meaning.
There's more meaning. There's also rhythm, isn't it? In a song, if you were to sing a song and you suddenly introduce an extra word, what happens? We lose the beat, isn't it? Or if you forget a word, what happens? It sounds like Richie Uncle is playing something else and you're singing something else, yeah? But Richie is not making a mistake, we're making a mistake, isn't it? Because he plays pretty perfectly, right? So we miss the rhythm if we add a syllable. That's exactly what our Veda teacher was telling us. We cannot add anything to the Vedas and we cannot subtract anything. It has to be exactly that. And the reason being that we not only have to have the beat, but if you remember, when we have a certain number of syllables, we have to take a breath at a certain spot, right? So we're all breathing in a certain pattern when we're chanting. We're breathing in a certain pattern, and when we're breathing in a certain pattern, our heart rate matches the breath, isn't it? Everyone understand that concept? If your breathing slows down, the heart rate becomes more regular. If you're breathing very fast, like in running, your heartbeat is very irregular and fast. Yes? So it has a lot of health benefits. Having a meter and following that meter has a lot of health benefits, right? Now I'll tell you a little story of my childhood. When I was little, about your age, and my dad is a Zarathustra priest, so he would do the 5 holy days. We just finished that in August. He would do the prayers for the 5 holy days at home, and we'd spread out. We'd first clean the room, of course, and spread out this sheet. And if you remember, a few years back, we did a little play with all the different items. Do you remember that? So we put all those items that represent the different energies, the Mother Earth and the animal kingdom and all of that, and milk and all of that. So we set up all of that, and then once my dad would start to chant, and the language that is used is what in Zoroastrianism? What is the language? Is it Sanskrit? It's very similar to Sanskrit. What is it?
Farsi.
Avesta. Farsi is the language we speak to each other, in Iran especially. I'm from India, so I do not know Farsi. I speak mostly Gujarati at home, with a little bit of Hindi, yes? And English, all mixture. So Farsi is spoken mostly in Iran, but the ancient Gathas were not written in Farsi, they were written in Avesta. And Avesta very similar to Sanskrit. So when my dad would start chanting in Avesta, he would never ever utter a word in any other language. So if he needed something, he would just look at us and look at whatever it was that was needed, and we had to guess, and we had to run and get it. Yes? So there was no word spoken, and at that time I understood, this is how it was explained to me, that language is very, very holy, and so no other word should be mixed in it. But it wasn't until last week that I understood why that was so important. Because if we lose the rhythm by introducing other words, we are losing our breathing pattern, we're losing the beat, our mind gets disturbed. We learned that when we learned the first Anuvak, that how the meter helps us engage the mind into the prayer. So if you ever try this, whenever we do our chanting, like next Saturday, are we doing our 11 Ekadasa? Yeah. Second Saturday? Yeah? So if we are doing that, if you ever get a chance like you did for Guru Purnima, if you ever sit down and you do not say a single word through the whole chanting, you will feel the power of it. You will definitely feel the power of it. The minute you're distracted and you say something, your mind wanders. Try it out. You will see that if you stay focused by only saying the words that are in the actual Anuvak, your mind will be totally focused on it and you'll feel much better. And I know that there is health benefit to it. I know if I've experienced that myself, because I know one time my knee was hurting so badly, I did not enter the 11th month. I said, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to stand up. But I was fine. I was just fine. I was amazed. I think there's healing power when we chant something at a certain rhythm and we chant together and the breath is under control and the whole physical body gets a chance to heal itself in its own rhythm. Does that make sense? Okay, so whenever you get a chance, you should do it. Yeah? Okay. All right. So, anyways. So let me see. Let me tell you a little bit of background of how I connect the Rudram with what I do on a daily basis, okay? So every child in Zoroastrianism has that sacred thread that Surya has. Anybody else has that sacred thread? Any children? No? Not you do, okay. So you have that sacred thread, but in Zoroastrians, all the girls and all the boys get a chance to get the sacred thread at the age of 7 or 9. So I got mine too, when I was 7, right? So once you get the sacred thread, you always have to say your prayers, just like Surya has to do his Gayatri, right? 3 times a day, is it? 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So I too have to do certain prayers. So the first thing we do is we remove the, we call it kushti, it's a cord that goes around the waist, we remove it. And as we are removing it, we go and we shake it. We shake it 3 times. Okay, and these are the words we use. Think carefully. As I say the words, think carefully what it connects to in the Rudram. Dushmatta, Duzuhutta, Hvrashta. Okay, those are 3 words we say. So Dushmatta. Dush means negative. So negative mata, negative mind, negative thoughts, I'm getting rid of it, is what I'm saying. I'm shaking it off. Whatever negative thoughts I had the day before, out with it. Yes? Dushmatta, Duzuhutta means negative words. Any negative words that I might have spoken, I get rid of that. And Duzuhutta, Dushmatta, Duzuhutta, Hvrashta, finally, right action. So I get rid of any bad action I might have done the day before. I might have said something impolite, I might have hurt someone's feelings. I want to get rid of all the negativity I had the day before so I can start my day fresh. Are you with me so far? Understand? Yeah? So which particular Anuvak would you connect that with? Did we learn about purification? When did we learn that? Last year? Yeah? We learned that in the very first Anuvak. And so what was the 3rd mantra in the first Anuvak? Let's say it together. Yate Rudra Shiva Tanura Papakashini Tayanastanu Shantamaya Girishanta Vichakashi. Remember Apapakashini? That when I heard that word, I immediately connected that with the 3 words I say in my morning prayer. Apapakashini, remove all my vices so that I can generate happiness in me and in others. That's the gist of it. I'm not saying it exactly, but that is the gist of that mantra, right? So you get rid of your negativity, and so then you can be ready for the positive. So then when we tie the cord, we say 3 other words, and that is Manashni, Gavashni, and Punashni. So, remember the prayer that we do in the beginning? We say prayers of all the different religions. Which prayer is the one we say for Zoroastrianism? Ashem Vahu, right? What does the prayer start with? It starts with Ashem, right? And it ends with?
Ashem.
Ashem, yeah? So Ashem is a very central word, okay? Now Ashem is based on a very important word called Asha. Now, every time that a Veda teacher mentions Shiva, I always think of Asha. Why? Because Asha means the exact same thing, except it doesn't have a form. There's no form for Asha. So if you think of Shiva as formless, you would think of Asha. Why? Because it's positivity, okay? It is truth. It is aligning your thoughts, words, and deeds perfectly, perfect harmony. So all the things that we associate with Shiva is Asha, okay? So in the morning when I say Manashni, Manas is my mind plus Asha. So Shiva in my mind, that's what I'm saying, right? Shiva in my mind, Shiva in my thoughts. So purity of thoughts, right? Manashni, and then I say Gavashni. So words have to be pure as well. Gava means words, okay? And Asha, Asha, same as Shiva. Positivity, purity. Yes? Understood? Okay? So there's another mantra that goes with Gavashni. What would that be? That's also in our first Anubhak. That is Shivena Vachasa Vanisha Chavadamasi Yatanasvarvamit Jagadayashmagum Sumana Asat. So what are we saying there? That when our words become gentle and soft, remember we were told that? Gentle and soft and truthful, then we are bringing happiness to others. Our mind is more at rest, and therefore our health is better. And that's such a Zoroastrian concept, that when you speak, if you speak good words, you are actually affecting the health of the person you're speaking to, and also your health is benefited. Now, some of you SSC kids might remember how I used to bring the experiments of that Japanese experimenter. Do you remember that? Surya remembers? Barely? Okay. So there was an experimenter, a Japanese scientist who's no more, and he did some experiments. And what he did was he would take water. He would take water and he would freeze it. Yes, he would freeze it and it would make little crystals, and it developed this very special camera that would take pictures of those crystals. Now we know that no two crystals look alike, right? All crystals are different. But what he found was very profound, very Zoroastrian concept, very much into this mantra, is that whenever he said something positive to the water, the photographs came out with beautiful crystals. The patterns are beautiful. If you ever Google his website, you will see it. The crystals are just perfect, they're just beautiful. But if he used words that were unkind, like you fool, you stupid, or something like that, then the crystals did not form correctly. Now how does that apply to us? Our bodies, how many percentage of water? 80%, right? When a baby is born, how many percentage? Almost 90% is water, right? Sorry? so much water in our bodies. Of course, when we hear negative words, negative things said to us, it is going to affect our body. The one who speaks that, their body too, it will be affected. Agreed? Yeah, so that's why Manashni, Gavashni, meaning the right words, spoken kindly, spoken softly. And finally, Kunashni. Kunashni is the right action part, meaning actions that do not hurt others and do not harm ourselves. So where did we learn that? Hurt, never, help, ever, right? Yeah? So remember learning about that also in the first Anuvak? Yes? That we were not to harm anyone with our actions, and we are not to harm ourselves with our actions. So, Manashni, Gavashni, Kunashni, exactly in tune with the first Anuvak is what I see. Yeah? Okay. So you must have heard those three words also in Zoroastrianism. If you've been to the Zoroastrian temple, you might have seen three words written underneath the emblem. It says, Humatha, Hukata, Hvrashta. Have you heard those words? Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. So what's that different from the Manashni, Gavashni, Kunashni, you think? What is the difference? So Manashni, Gavashni, Kunashni is something a human being says because we are in process of learning to be perfect. But Humatha means one who has perfectly unselfish thoughts, perfectly pure thoughts, perfect thoughts infused with Asha. So remember how we learned in Veda class how sometimes the Persians would confuse Sa with Ha. Sindhu became Hindu. Remember that? So here also, Humatha is actually Sumata, Sumati, sitting in front of me. So Sumati would mean one with pure mind. Yes, your mother has a pure mind? Yes? That's why you're here, right? Yeah? Okay, so pure mind. So Sumata, actually we could say Humatha, okay? Humatha, Hvrashta, Hudoksha. So these three were, Humatha, Hukata, Hvrashta. So Humatha, pure mind, Hukata, perfect words, and Hvrashta, perfect actions that are in tune with everything. So there's one entity that we know that had all those three in perfection. Who was that? And Zarathustra too. He was taught, that's why he was called Asho Zarathustra, because he had Asha in everything. Yeah? And also, of course, Satya Sai Baba, we've known about that, right? Did he ever have any selfish thoughts? Did he do anything that was selfish, just for himself? No, he always did things for others, right? Did he say things that were hurtful to others? Only if he wanted to correct them, yes? But he would only seem like he was angry, but he was never angry, yes? So all the three in perfection is Humatha, Hukata, Hvrashta, but we are in the process of becoming perfect, so we use the other. Manashni, Gavashni, Kunashni. Got it? Okay. So, let's see. Now, going back to Zoroastrianism, you know, there was one writer who had asked Swami, when was Zarathustra born? Because there's such a controversy in terms of when he was born, when did he teach, how long ago was that, all of that. So Baba's answer was, it was 3,000 years before Christ, and it was a time when the Dvapara Yuga, that's the Yuga of Krishna, was over, and there was a lot of commotion and violence and all of that. And so Mother Earth, in the form of a cow, asks God to send a messenger to help her because she's under so much oppression, there's so much violence and wars going on, yes? So she asks for help, and that is when Zarathustra is sent down to earth, yeah, to teach. Now, something very interesting I heard just a couple of years ago. All of you have heard of Amma Karunamai? No? Some of you have heard of Amma Karunamai? Yes? So, a great soul, yes? Some of us think that she's also an avatar, like Sai Baba. So, she has a lot of wisdom. So she shared this with a very small group, and I had another friend who's also a Satoshi in that group, and of Sani. And so we were there, and Amma suddenly tells us that when Krishna passed away, when Krishna left his mortal coil, he was no longer, everyone believes that the Yadava clan, his clansmen, came to an end. That they were all destroyed. That's what we believe, right? But Amma says that no, there was a group of the Yadav clan, the clan of Krishna, that went northwest and became the ancestors of the Persians. So her theory is that that's why we see so much resemblance in Sanatana Dharma. At least I see so much resemblance in Sanatana Dharma and the religion of Zarathustra, because he was pretty much teaching the same teachings, but a different set of people, in a different language, in a different culture. Yes? But principles are the same. That's why the Rudram is so eternal. The Rudram is something that will apply to everyone at all times, at all ages. My dad used to listen to the lessons, and he would actually interact with the tablet. he would say, Acha. And then he would pull it back a few sentences because maybe he didn't understand what was being said. So, Acha. And then he would go back and listen to it again. So, to be able to learn something that's so eternal, that's been ongoing for so many years, it's really a blessing for all of us, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, going back to the 5 that we learned last week, we learned about different ways that pattern 5 appears, right? Yeah? Can anyone think of any one example of 5s? Pattern 5? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Gayatri mantra with the 5 faces, right? 5 faces of Gayatri. Yes. Perfect. So there are other things in other religions also, because number 5 is considered very holy, very divine in a lot of cultures. So in Zoroastrianism, for instance, 5 Gathas, the 5 songs of Zarathustra, 5 holy days we have, and the day is divided into 5 parts. 5, we call them K. And so each part has a particular function. So the first part of the day, from sunrise to noon, is called Havan. Havan is similar to Havan. So Jashan that we do, the ceremonies that we do are always done in that time period. Yeah? And so we have 5 sections of the day just like that. And for each section there's a special prayer that applies to that particular section of the day. Yeah? Now Christianity, who can tell me what's number 5 in Christianity? Do you remember when Jesus was born, what was the first sign that was seen in the sky? A star. How many points did it have? 5, yes. So it was the Star of Bethlehem, always has the 5 points. Do you remember that? We did that play last year. The 5-pointed star, yes. And if you draw the 5-pointed star, you don't have to lift your pencil off, right? You can draw it in one stroke. So it has almost the same meaning as a lingam. Start and beginning in the same place, yeah? Beginning and the end in the same place like a circle, yeah? So 5-pointed star. And also the 5 wounds of Christ. Have you heard of the 5 wounds of Christ? So when he was crucified, he was nailed to the cross. Where were the wounds? In both his hands, yes, in both his palms, because that's where he was nailed. Both his feet, yes. And then he had another wound in his side. Say that again?
The lance of Manashni.
Yes, exactly, the lance. Why was that lance done? Do you remember? It was done to see. Someone hurt him with a spear to see he was still alive. That's what was done to him. So the 5 wounds of Jesus, when some saints have actually focused on that and have really, really meditated on that perhaps, sometimes their bodies seem to have what they call the stigma. You might have heard that word, stigma. So that those marks appear on their bodies. Like you might talk to Deanna Aunty more about that. She might be able to explain to you more when maybe Easter comes. She can explain that more. But those, by concentrating on the wounds that happened to Jesus, they would have marks on their palms, on their feet, on the side of their bodies. Some saints who had that. You might have heard of I don't remember the name of the saint who was so focused on Hanuman, he started having a bit of a tail. Do you remember that story? I don't remember the name of the person who had that happen. But when you focus on one name and one form, sometimes you can have those attributes in yourself. That's the reason why we say you must say the name over and over, because those attributes will come to us. If we focus on that person, if you focus on that name, those attributes will become ours. Okay? Yeah. So in Christianity, there was two things. In Islam, who remembers the 5 pillars? 5 pillars of Islam. Yes. What was that? Hajj, and then the faith, and then the prayer, and what is it that they do for one whole, yes, charity, yes, what, and one whole month that they do? Ramadan, so fasting, yeah? So, again, faith, prayer, fasting, pilgrimage, and charity. Those are the 5 pillars. So again, we see the pattern of 5 being repeated, yeah? What are the 5 values we learn in SSC? Do you remember? Yeah? Can you tell me? Yeah. Very good. Very good. And you have it right there on your binder. How beautiful. You'll never forget now, right? Yes. So 5 values, yes? So that is the reason why we come to SSC, to be able to use those values when we go home. Yeah? No? Yes. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think I'm going to bring this to an end. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for being here. And thank you, Swami, for giving us this opportunity to learn the Vedas. Not everyone gets that opportunity, yes? And thank you to Swami for also giving us the opportunity to have the videos available to us, because for me, I would not be able to grasp everything that I learned in the class, and I always have to go back and listen to the portions that I missed. So thank you, Sridhar, for doing that. And everyone have a wonderful Manashni. Thanks again, Sarah. And hopefully our Veda teacher will be back next time.